Arts, and today we're going to make pinwheel cookies. Now, I wasn't going to do pinwheel cookies, but my kids convinced me that this would make a great video and I should put this on here. I'm thinking myself, my kids were thinking, hey, if Dad makes pinwheel cookies on a video, we get to eat pinwheel cookies. Yep, got me wrapped. But hey, let's make some pinwheel cookies. So the first thing we've done here is we've taken 1 cup of butter and we've added 1 cup of sugar to it. The butter needs to be at room temperature so we can get proper ability to cream the butter with the sugar. Ah, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Nicely creamed together. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our eggs, break our yolks. We're going to have 2 eggs. We're going to very lightly whisk those eggs together. And we're going to add our lightly beaten eggs into our butter sugar mixture. And we're going to very gently mix that in until we have one complete mixture with no, we can have some lumps in there. It doesn't have to be perfectly mixed together or completely smooth. That'll be okay because that will all mix together nicely once we add our flour mixture. But for now, we're just going to mix that in the best we can with a fork. Once we have that all mixed in, about 50% to 60% of the way through, we're going to add our milk. And our milk is 1/2 cup. So once you got 1/2 cup of milk in there, we'll just keep mixing that until the milk starts to mix in and it becomes more of one complete texture. Kind of a little chalky like this right here. You can see it's kind of lumpy like that. Is perfectly okay because that's all going to mix in once we add our flour into that. At this stage, we're going to take 3 cups of flour and we are going to mix it on the top like so. And we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of baking powder onto the top of that. And we're going to mix our salt and baking powder into our flour a little bit before we start mixing the flour into the egg and butter mixture. Now we're just going to mix all that together until it completely combines into a dough. This stage is going to be a little bit on the liquidy side, so you put your hands in there, it would literally stick to your hands. And we actually want that because we're going to be adding more dry ingredients to this here in a minute. So don't worry if your cookie dough is moist. So now we're going to take this mixture here and we want to split this perfectly in half, or as close to half as we can possibly get. So we're going to do that. We're going to take half of this mixture, place it into another bowl. And that's about halfway. And in our white half of our mixture, we are going to take a quarter to half a cup, depending on what it takes to make it. So we have half a cup of flour here, so we're going to start by adding approximately half of that. That's a little bit more than half, but it'll be okay. And we're going to mix this in here and see if we can make a rollable dough. That's what we're looking for right now, is making our white mixture into a rollable dough. Also at this point, I'm going to add vanilla to my white mixture, because I want my white half to be a vanilla flavored half and my dark half to be a chocolate flavored, making our separation for our pinwheel. So we're just going to mix that in. It's looking pretty good. I'm thinking we're pretty close. Let's have a little feel. Still a little bit tacky, so I'm just going to add the rest of that flour in there. You might have to get your hands a little bit dirty. That's okay. Nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty in the kitchen a little bit. We're going to mix that up nicely, get that folding over itself. Now it's making, look at that. It's not really sticking to my hands too badly, but it is still feeling like cookie dough, and it's now a pliable, rollable texture. And that's exactly what we're looking for, was a rollable texture. We're going to roll this out kind of like you'd roll pie dough out. Now you got that all flanged up. We're going to put that aside. We're going to bring down our other half that we separated, and I have cocoa powder here. There is exactly half a cup of cocoa powder here. We're going to add a half a cup into here, and we're just going to mix that up with our hands. We're not even going to worry about it with a spoon or a fork or anything. Going to get nitty gritty with this, medieval like. Mix that half a cup in there. Once again, you're going to be looking for about the same consistency as you had with the white. Nice rollable dough. A little bit tacky still maybe, but a little tacky is okay. But as long as it doesn't stick too badly. Of course, my hands are all chocolatey now because I started with a powder. But that's okay. The actual dough itself is not really sticking to my hands that badly. We're just going to keep mixing that until it looks like all the white from the original is all mixed out. That was approximately half a cup of cocoa in there. Look at that, eh? Nice chocolatey, and doesn't really stick to my hands, but it's still cookie-like. That's exactly what you're looking for. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take each of our doughs, our white and our dark, and we're going to approximately break them in half. You're going to have two halves, eyeballed approximately to the same size of white. And take your chocolate, and you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to break it approximately in half. So you have two halves, approximately the same size of the chocolate. Now we're going to move over, grab ourselves a piece of wax paper. Now wax paper is smooth on both sides. Doesn't really matter which side you use. This is to keep the cookie dough from sticking to it too badly. I don't 100% trust it, so I lightly flour my wax paper. And we're going to take a chunk of the white, and we're going to approximately make it into as close to a rectangle shape as we can. We're going to flour the top of it. And we are going to roll it out as close to the rectangular shape as we can. Sure you keep it lightly floured so it doesn't lift up like it just did on me there. And then the rolling pin won't stick to it. Now, we are going to roll that till it is approximately 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 centimeter thereabouts in thickness. Will look like that approximately, nice and thin. A little bit thicker than pie dough, but not, I don't even know which one was that. At any rate, a chunk of chocolate. And we will once again kind of rectangle shape that. And put a little bit of flour down. Place that on top, a little flour on top of it, like so. Don't worry, that'll still look chocolatey even though there's flour on the outside. Once you get that all rolled up in there, oh yeah, she'll be good. And once again, we're going to do the same thing. We'll roll this out to a rectangular general shape. It doesn't have to actually look like a rectangle. This has to be a general shape of a rectangle. Here is the tricky part though. We are going to try our best to make this the same size as the white one. So, get this all worked out like so, about the same thickness. We're going to take it, our white, and we're going to sit our white on top of it. And look at that, it's pretty close. We got a little extra on the edges here, but that is perfectly okay. Now we're going to take our white, and we're going to flip it over and lay it down on top of our chocolate. Peel off our wax paper very gently. Put that aside, we can reuse that again. You can kind of stretch and pull together your corners, kind of make them even out a little bit, so that your white and your dark are pretty much the same all the way around. Now, we're going to take this as our chocolate side, and we're going to roll this up nice and tight as we can, making the layers in between. And you keep rolling that until you get all the way to the other side. There we go, we've got our first roll. Take that and put it to the center of here. Tuck in our corners a little bit, a little squishing down so it evens itself out in the middle. You can manipulate your dough a little bit, it is perfectly okay. The dough will not take it personally. And take that, we'll roll that up into our piece of wax paper as such. I'll roll our corners over, lay it down so the corners stick down, and there we go, we got our first roll. Awesome. Now we're going to do the exact same thing again, except this time instead of having the chocolate on the bottom, we're going to put the vanilla on the bottom. Let's do that right now. We want our white dough to be on the outside, so we're going to place our chocolate on top of our white this time. Nice and gently remove that best we can. I rushed that a little bit more than I did the first time. There we go, she's pretty close. Once again, we can manipulate our dough a little bit to make it kind of line up more, shape it a little bit. It's all good. It'll be beautiful in the end either way, so no worries. And now we'll take it, and as before, we'll roll the dough up. Hardest part is right at the beginning, getting that first little roll in there. After that, she'll roll up quite nicely, all good. Take your time, be gentle, peeling it up from the bottom because it will try to stick to the wax paper a little bit. There we go, look at that, it's beautiful. I don't know why it is, but the white likes to stick to the wax paper a little bit more than the dark does. And it has a little bit more moisture in it. There's a little bit of change up in ingredients. We'll just lift that up off of there, kind of turn it to the corners like we did before. Manipulate our ends a little bit. This one turned out much nicer. We don't have to manipulate it quite as much. Evened out, it's pretty much the same thickness all the way across. Very good. Now we're going to take it, wrap it up beside our wax paper, take the corners and fold them over. Now we're going to take both these rolls and we're going to place them in the refrigerator for at least an hour. We want this dough to set and become firm. That way when we cut it, it cuts evenly and it doesn't squish down quite as easily. And we get nice round cookies out of it. So now that our cookies have set for a couple hours, we're going to take them out of the wax paper. Okay, so over it's set at 350, we've removed the wax paper from around our cookie dough. Now we're going to take it, we're going to cut it into approximately 1/4 inch slices. And place them on our baking sheet. And bake them at 350 for approximately 10 minutes. When you put them on the cookie sheet, you're going to want to keep a small space in between each one. You should be able to get 4 in a row. Well, on my baking sheets anyways. Your baking sheets might be a different size. Slice them up. Same thing, about 1/4 inch thick. Place them on our baking sheet. And there we go, 48 cookies ready for the oven. Your cookies should be done. They should be slightly browning around the edges and they should have doubled in size. Oh, those are absolutely beautiful. Fire our oven off there. And we're going to right away take these, bring them over. We're going to put them on our cooling rack, get them cooling right away. You don't have to wait. By the time they get over there and you start pulling them off, they'll be cool enough so they won't, because they're baking powder, not baking soda, they're a little bit different, and we have to roll them so they're a little bit different texture. You get away with taking them off the baking sheet right away. There you have it, Pinwheel Cookies. Just like the doctor ordered, just like the kids wanted. Well, the doctor might not have ordered them because they are a little bit high in fat and sugar, but they sure taste good. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe as well. See you next time.